Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Just doing some mulling. You probably missed it. I might just show you a quick clip of it, but I tried building a frame to cover this so I could have sides. By the time I was done, it was too heavy. I didn't like it, tore it down. I might finish that up with aluminum. I just don't have an aluminum welder here, and I don't really want to take the project back and forth into town 30 minutes each way, so I'm not going to worry about it right now. I'm just going to finish this up. So I have two things on the go. One is I want to build myself some handlebars. So I'm going to use this square tubing. I'm going to want it to end here, and I'm going to weld on the actual handlebars from the skidoo that I've salvaged. I just want it to make sure that it ends right here. But one thing I want to do before that is I have these really nice strong nuts that go through the body all the way through, and they're super strong. So what I want to do is build a gusset that comes down from my frame and goes in. So I'll take that bolt out and go back into the gusset, and then I'll weld it onto this piece here and then grind it smooth. I'll probably do 4. I'm thinking about just doing the 2 at the back because of all the handling, but it might be prudent to have one up front just to keep the motor in place. So these nuts that I put in here, I mean, they're only going into thin aluminum, so I mean, it could tear out if I was to roll or something. So anyway, that's what I'm going to work on right now, and I will see you in a bit. Alright, well, let's catch up because I missed videoing this because I was a little miffed. So when I pulled this bolt out, it's sheared off, and good reflexes. So that bolt sheared off, so I built the gusset. So I had to drill it out, 1/4 inch, 5/16 tap, a new bolt in, went to the other side sheared off as well. Had to drill that out, tap that out, and get a bolt in it. So I took a piece of the angle iron, and then I used my bandsaw. I slid it up the middle to get some flat bar, which I don't have any in the shop, which is really weird. So I just made some flat bar real quick, and now I'm going to weld it to this main beam, which should really solidify this whole frame. I'm going to do it on both sides. I'm a little bit leery about pulling the front ones off right now because I just don't feel like drilling and tapping anymore today. So I think I'll give it a break. I'll just see what this does to the structure. There's metal plate to the front here. This triangle plate's fairly thick, and it does connect here because I cut it for this piece to slide over top. I might just run a bead there. That'll actually connect it to this, which should be pretty solid. So I'm going to use these for the back. I'm going to weld these now, and I think that'll be it for tonight. Once I had these all welded in place, I just took my handy dandy flap wheel on the grinder and cleaned up all the welds and smoothed out any edges that would, cut whatever you're wearing or cut your ropes or bungees or anything like that. So smoothed it all up, and also made it ready for paint. Once that was done, I cut the bars a little longer than I think I needed, and just in case, because you can't make them longer, but you can make them shorter pretty easily. So I laid them out on the floor, the flattest thing I had, and used my squaring magnets and just tacked these together so that I could put them in position and then get a better feel for what length I needed.
You'll notice the top bar is a little bit proud to the uprights, and the reason I did that was I could get a full weld up the side, and then I can clean the bar off to the proper level or width afterwards, but that gave me a really good place to purchase my weld to.
Okay, well I tack welded the handles on. I have a temporary bolt in here. I'm gonna get some bigger bolts. These are like quarter or less than half inch anyway. So I want 9/16 in here, and I want them to be a grade 8 bolt. I just put a couple of clamps here just to raise it so that I could see what level I want to have it at. I'm about to build a box that will hold a tote, because I take totes with me when I go everywhere. It's something I started doing. A friend of mine showed me this, and I mean, it's just on the ice, it keeps your stuff dry, and it only made sense. And all the littles, keeps them all together. So anyway, I want to be able to just drop a tote in there. It might have my fish finder, line, gear, tackle, whatever. Just drop it in there, and then I can take it out, put it in the tent with me. So I'm going to start building this, and I will. Oh, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, on the back rail, I'm going to have a few holes drilled in this. So if I want to drop the angle down slightly and sit, I'll just pull the pin out, drop it down, put the pin back in. So the upright here for this frame will have a hole in it, and this will probably have several holes in it. Hopefully that'll work out. We'll see when I get there.
As per normal, I don't have a plan here, so I call this the professional humming and hawing. So I just bring in some measurements, test a few things, check a couple angles, just see what I would like and whether it'll work for the design I have in mind. And if it does, then I'd take some more measurements and start cutting and grinding. All I can say in this is that I just wanted it to be able to protect the tub and move a little higher at the end so it could protect the motor. But other than that, I had no real plans. You just kind of have to come up with something that you want to protect what it is that you're trying to put on your sled. And let the design just happen. Right now I'm just adding some stock to the end of the frame so that I actually have something really strong to put on my hitch to. Otherwise there's nothing really super strong to grab purchase. And I'm going to be pulling about 1,200 pounds, so I want it to be part of the sled, not just a little connection on it. And now that I have those bars at the back, I can start welding on the uprights. And I believe I started these ones at 10 inches and I moved them all the way up to 15 at the top. I can't exactly remember, but I feel like they're 15 inches for the front ones. Now I just measure and cut the top pieces to go into place and get them welded in.
Before I cut these and weld these in, I have to complete the inside welds. And then when I run the caps over top, I'm going to cut a flare off of it I don't know if I can explain it. So basically I'll cut and leave the top and cut a chunk out so that when it sits over top of these holes and I weld it inside, it'll cover the holes. So these holes will be covered with a piece of this. That's where I'm at for tonight. And then I will finish doing the welding. It's not structural, so it's not super important, but I mean, it's, you want to make sure if it rolls over it's not going to all snap off. So that's where I'm at for tonight. It was a good day. Talk to you soon. Okay, so I just cut these top rails, and here's what I was talking about, chiseling this piece out. So now I can set that inside here, just like that, and then I can use the caps, weld in, and then that gives me a nice smooth, water resistant, depending on my welding, watertight cover. Looks pretty good. I'm learning metalwork as I go. I'm not an expert, but I just kind of want to have it just so. And I'm hoping it'll fit my, so I have a larger, taller tote that I usually take with me. And there she is. Just like that. So I may use this, I may not. It does accept the smaller totes. They're the same. The shorter ones just will sit a little high on this side. So, just like that. Perfect.
As I mentioned before, I did salvage the handlebars off of that skidoo teardown, or I guess it's not a skidoo, it's a snowmobile, because it's an Arctic Cat, and I wanted to make sure I got lots of good, nice warm, deep penetrating welds in these. I did heat the bar prior to, not with acetylene or anything, I just used propane, but I got it heated up just so that the first few were at least going in deep, and then as you weld on, the steel becomes hotter and hotter, and your welds become a little better as you go. So anyway, I wanted to make sure these were on there good and solid, because the last thing you want to be doing is cranking around some log and then have your handlebars yank off, and then you eat the handlebars and the log. So trying to save myself some trouble down the road with a little extra welding, plus fill in the gap, because round bar doesn't sit on flat bar very nicely, so this way I'm kind of filling it in and making it a little flatter. Okay, now I'm just drilling through the handlebars and into the upright frame so that I can get my pegs in there. And I'm just going to put clips in there, but after I've used this now a few times in the snow, I'm just going to put a bolt there and it'll rest on the bolt. So it's loose up, but it'll hit down on the bolt. I think after hitting one big bump, I realized that having it rigid is not the way to go. Money saving tip.
This is cheap dollar store cutting board nylon. Makes great bushings for cheap. This would be like $3 a piece at Home Depot. As discussed earlier, this exhaust comes out this way, I don't want it straight at me for starters, and I'm gonna have bins in here. Even if I put a heat shield up here, I'm not sure I'm gonna be fond of it. So I'm gonna take the exhaust right off the manifold. I'm gonna zip cut the exhaust and re-weld it this direction, hopefully. I looked online, I can get these for about 20 bucks, so if I screw it up, I still got a safety. But I'll give it a try.
Okay, I just took the zip cut and basically cut the exhaust pipe where it was separating from the manifold to the muffler itself. Now I'm just cleaning up the edges, getting them ready for welding, making sure they're nice and clean, easier to weld, better welds. And now I'm just beveling all the way around so that I can get a better penetration in my weld. And that way there's kind of like a concave spot in which to get your weld into, so you're not just welding two flat pieces, you're actually getting inside the pipe itself. So I just tack welded in position, and now I can pull it off and get a really good weld all the way around while it's sitting on the floor. And it wasn't the easiest place to grind off, so I just got a little drum grinder on my drill and was able to grind this up quite nicely.
So I welded it together, and then once I had it all welded and sanded, I put another maybe a ½ inch add-on for thickness. I can't quite get it in there. I'm gonna get some sandpaper on that. This looks like a little hole, but I think it's a hole to the second weld, but I'm gonna add some weld back to it right now. Just make sure that's filled, just in case. I don't want any leaks. Well, there she is. Moved. Now she should blow up the side. Wonder bar. Let's hit it with some of that trim clad. Whichever way is right side up for you. She's right back to brand new. That's it. A little bit of high heat on there. Put her back on. That's pretty nice because I was worried about that. So now I don't nod. She is good to go. Uh-oh. I have lost. Right there. Pinch. Okay. My first muffler manifold manipulation. Triple M. Okay, it's oiled up, it's gassed up. I just primed it. Choke on, gas on, motor on. See any leaks in the exhaust. That's good. All right, she runs. Okay, so I've gone ahead and put on the forward clutch piece. I clamped my vice grips here so that I could torque it down, otherwise it would spin. I've got my spacer in, and I got the secondary ready to go, so I'm just about ready to put this piece on. I just wanted to make sure everything was in alignment. If they're not quite in alignment, you'll burn through belts. We don't need that. Alright, do a quick start and see if the clutch is engaging. See where we're at. And give it a throttle.
The first run was thrilling. However, it was exactly at this point when I realized having the motor offset was not going to work for me. So I took my elation, went inside the shop, and took the motor and motor mounts apart and got started again and put it in the center. And it only made sense because it was so hard for me to build a protective rack around this thing. I might as well just move it to the center. And so here's where I start.
Well, it's like starting from the beginning. Other than the frame and the steering is done. So I need to take the crankcase apart again, which I needed to do in the first place, or anyway, because when I reassemble it, I don't know if I said this or not, the tensioners are supposed to be on the inside. I think I had them on the outside, which are, it's backwards to what it's supposed to be. I watched my video to see afterwards, and I could see it. It was different, so I still have to get in there anyway. So I have to take that apart. So it is what it is.
This sprocket went on so easily, and now it's trying to kill me. It won't come off. I had to heat it and beat the tar out of it to get it off. And I had to cut a keyway halfway into the shaft so that I could move the sprocket inside. And here I'm just cutting a small piece out of the tunnel so that the actual sprocket will fit in below, because it had about a 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch spacing that needed to be filled, so that I didn't have to raise the jack shaft.
I like how, like, over there you can't see it.
Up there you can.
Oh, you have a...
You can't see a weld anyway, so.
Yeah.
And fast forward, I put the motor back into the center, and I added the shaft back on and got it all centered and spaced properly. And now I'm able to carry on with building the protective surrounding for the motor, and I'm just going to carry up from the same line that I was using for my tub holder. And now just clean up the handlebars here with some wax and grease remover. I've taped off the actual uprights so I can get a coat of black on here. I'll be painting the green here right away, so I didn't take it off the frame. I'm just using a quick spray here and get a single coat on here for a while, and then I'll put a second coat on before I use this for the winter. That way it has time to harden nicely, and it looks kind of cool. I'll decide if I like this color or not. It is the same color as my logo, so I kind of don't mind it. Well, here it is mostly together. Got some paint on it. Got some small things to do, put in the wiring. Here is a close-up of the tow hitch I built with the spring start-stop dampener in the center. Just grabbed a big spring, cut it in half, welded a bolt into the center, and so now it has a bit of spring going in and going out when you start and stop, which is great. Now this hitch here was a great idea, it worked awesome, but I ended up taking it off because I just didn't like it. I put on a really heavy duty hinge instead and welded it straight on there. But it came out okay. I'm going to put some graphics on the side still.
Okay, well, what have I been doing? So, mostly nothing. It's fishing season, so there's no snow, so I've been taking my time. So, I didn't film it because it's just painting. I just taped off a little bit, painted some green, and painted the deck, which is still a little bit tacky. Still have some tape in there. I have everything back together. I did build this hitch, so it has some articulation here, and then the front of the connection that I built for this will have the back and forth. I also built a spring dampener on for starting and stopping, so I built that. I'll show you a close-up of that, and that's about it. I've just been kind of just doing little tiny things, nothing that is structural. I did add this small LED light bar on the front. My box, which I was going to fabricate, but Princess Auto had a nice black box Ammo 10 already painted up, which is going to sit up in here, and then my bin will be there, so I don't even have to do anything to that. That's about it. Now I'm just waiting for a paint to dry. I'm going to throw on some of my throttle and my emergency stop switch. I'm going to get those run down here, and the only thing I have to do, I did disconnect the switch, the on-off switch, because I'm going to have it run directly up there. This will still work, but it'll be controlled from up top, up here. And I need to take the oil sensor off. Well, I don't think I take it off, I just think I have to disconnect it. I'll look into that a little bit. I'm not sure about that. Otherwise, she's ready to go. She's ready for the winter. Painting took longer than building it. This tow bar took longer than building it. I didn't film it because it's just basic tow bar, you know, there's nothing really to it. Just a little cutting and a little welding. Okay, in my last video I had a bunch of questions about soldering and what was tinning, and I didn't mention it. So you need to get yourself some solder paste to help, and it helps the solder stick to stuff. So I've dipped it into this. I'm melting it a little bit, you can see the smoke coming up. Put a little bit of solder on my tip, and then I heat up this whatever it is I'm going to be tinning. And then once it gets hot enough, I now have an actual layer of solder on the tip. I'll do that on these ones too. That way when I make a connection, they will be a good electrical connection. If you just solder and they stick, they might stick, but you might be giving yourself a cold solder joint, which is like a very poor weld, which means after a little bit of movement, it will break. So we just need something to hold these in place. Well, I've got the electrical all done. Kill switch working, tested. Throttle's in. It's all wired down. I'll show you some close-ups of that. Got my handle grips on, so it's pretty damn cool. This thing is ready for the snow, and I'm excited. And that's the thing. People hate winter. Get yourself a little project like this, you get excited that the snow is coming. This is awesome. I have to change up these pins. I'm going to make them a little bit thicker. This is exactly the right height for me when I'm sitting. I have that chair over there, you can see. I already had the mounts, which is kind of interesting. I'll show you this. About 8 years ago, I made this mount just out of some aluminum, and then I welded on a plate and a bolt, or I welded the bolt onto the chair plate, and then welded a nut into this plate, which I mounted onto the aluminum. And then I made the rails big enough to sit on top of pretty much any sled. So I've been taking this out for years. When I didn't have too far to walk, I would drag that out so then I could sit in my skimmer and not have to stand around in the slush or get my feet cold or sit in the snow or whatever. So I just sit in my skimmer, which also has rod holders mounted, so I could sit in there and just chill out. And also, if the ice is a little thinner, you know, you're spreading the weight out. So anyway, I already had that built. Long story short, it's going to sit on my skimmer now. So when I'm throttling in, I may have to put some clamps on it so it doesn't move. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it's going to work yet. I may have to clamp it onto the toboggan. Anyway, that's it for tonight. It was a good week. Thanks for hanging out.